Hello and welcome to MalMakes. Today we're doing a painting based on Pokémon Let's Go. This is the full version. If you're interested in the time-lapse, you can click on the card here. Otherwise, let's get started. So over on Twitch we've been playing through Pokémon Let's Go, where Steven plays through Let's Go Pikachu and I've been playing Let's Go Eevee. And we're playing at the same time, and after every gym battle we battle each other to see how we're doing. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a very long time since I played through a Pokémon game. I was still in college and I was borrowing my friend Haley's copy of Leaf Green. And that was actually the first time I played through a Pokémon game, like in its entirety. So that was a lot of fun, and it's been fun to play back through it and see things in a different style. And I thought it would be fun to do a painting from that, just to kind of commemorate the experience. And I looked at the different areas in the game, and I've already done a painting of like Pallet Town, so I thought it would be cool to do something else, in the kind of the same style where everything leads out to the horizon line. So this time I picked Vermilion City with the SS and I want to paint it vermilion, where everything is quite red. So to do that I had to do more of a sunset color scheme, and I have the sun way out here on the horizon, the SS and then the long pier that leads back towards the city. Now in Let's Go there are two lighthouses there, but the two just really messed with the layout of my painting, so I went with one, and I also tried to think about how I could incorporate the truck, the work truck, that's off to the side that would be over that way, but it just didn't work out with my composition. I tried a lot of different things about exactly where the boat and the pier and the lighthouse and everything would be, and it just didn't work. So I had to go with what was going to look good instead of being more of, I guess, an inside joke. So this is what I've come up with, and I'm going to start by putting my horizon in first on my canvas and then paint the entirety of the sky first. Painting the ocean was a bit more frustrating than I thought it would be because I've done it a good number of times. And I was like, oh, I'll just paint this. And I painted it and I didn't like it very much. It was just like the color where they were overlapping and where the lines were, I wasn't thrilled with. So I started back over with my lightest colors and brought in a bit more orange to cover up some of the yellow because it was very yellow when I started. And the sun is, starting to set here, so it should not be super bright yellow on the water. There should just be little bits of highlight as it's catching the edges of the sun and reflecting off some of these clouds up here. And I might do a little bit more of that, like maybe bring just a little bit more white paint on the tops of some of these waves. But overall, after I started to do that, where I pushed the yellow back so there was less of it and brought in more reds and oranges, I liked it a lot better. So once that was done, I peeled the tape off it so I could see everything together. And now I want to block in everything with black paint. So I drew my pier here to my vanishing point, which is to the left of the sun. And I'm going to block all that in so I can start to draw the boat and then the lighthouse so that I can start to add those details. Because the boat has to be done before the pier is finally done. The pier has to be done before this rock is done. So I need to kind of work that way in how I'm doing this. Everything's been drawn in or blocked in the case of the rocks and the pier. I didn't want to lose the details I had drawn on the lighthouse and the ship, so I just painted on the lines and didn't fill it in solid carbon black. I'm going to be using that as kind of my guideline for where things go. A little bit of stuff will change, like I didn't really like how the bricks look up here on the top of the lighthouse, but I want to fill everything in for the ship and the lighthouse first. I'm painting them in black and white, even though there's obviously a lot of like reflected color here going on. Like all of these warm colors are going to cast that light onto the ship and the lighthouse, but I'm painting them in black and white to give myself a good idea of their values, where I want the light to be hitting certain parts of the ship and then go into shadow on the other side. The same with the lighthouse. And then I can take yellow or orange and water it down with some glazing liquid and just go over the top to give them an orange or yellow or red cast, depending on what part of the object it is. Sometimes in painting, you think you know exactly how you want to do something and you try it and you don't like it, which is what has happened with the ship. I really like the shape, I think all of the lines are great, but I was doing it in grayscale, which is how the lighthouse looks right now. And then I was going to add just some of the warm lights from the sun onto it, doing different glazes just to tint it the same warm colors as the ocean and the sky. And you can see that I've started to do that. I put yellow on the edges, and then I started to put some orange, and then I was going to work my way into deeper and darker reds, into like the very darkest parts that are going to be opposite of where the light source is. But I'm not liking how it's looking, and it might look better the more I do, but I'm not sure about that yet. So I think I'm going to do the lighthouse different, and if I like it better, then I'll do the ship that way, and if I don't, I'll keep playing around with the ship doing the glazing technique until I like something, and then eventually I'll do both the same way. So sometimes in painting that happens, and you just kind of have to work through it, trying different things until something works, trying different techniques on different objects, and eventually something will happen that you do like. It's just a little bit frustrating when you thought you had it and then it doesn't look good. So I'm just going to keep trying different things, and eventually something will happen and I'll move on to painting the pier. So the lighthouse turned out on the first try, so I decided to do the ship with the same technique. I repainted it all gray and then started to fill it in like I did for the lighthouse, adding in color only where it really needed to go, and then just doing a little bit of yellow on the highlight sections. And then I knew it looked much better, so I could start to add in the railings and the window and finishing the smokestack. With both of those two things done, the only big thing left to do is the pier. So I drew in the top part that gets these stripes, and I started to fill in the side of the pier here. So I'm going to fill all those things in, like the surface of them where you would walk and the side, and then I can start to add the little bit of railing that there is in parts of the area. And then it's just the rocks, and the rocks are going to be much easier compared to all of this. I scraped the rocks in with a palette knife, and I like this one because it gives me 2 different size edges. And I started with a darker gray on the shadow side of all of the rocks, which is the left side on the rocks left of the sun and the right side on the rocks right of the sun. And after I had the shadow side of the rocks done, I started working into lighter and lighter gray browns on the side that would get hit with the sun to give it a highlight. And I'm going with warm colors because everything is so warm in this scene. So I just scraped different colors on top until I was happy with how the rocks came out. I also filled in the pier here using different grays, a little bit of the red for the edges because in the game they kind of have these runners on the side. I also put in these little pillars here, and there's still some chalk so they look a little bit messy, but once they're totally dry I can erase that chalk. And the last thing I really want to do to this is, just like I have the little touch of yellow on the edges of these 2 items, I want to put that on the pier here because right now it's very gray and I don't think the highlight side on the right should be that gray. So I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow orange and go on the vertical part of the pier where it goes down and touches the water, and then maybe just a little bit on some of these pillars with the swoop in between. And we're done! We have the SS Anne and Vermilion City from Pokémon Let's Go. If you're interested in this piece, you could buy a poster or a phone case, or bid on this original canvas. There's links down below. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. You can find out more at supportmal.com. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of MalMakes, and I'll see you again here for another video game painting.